In May 2025, a company once worth $1.5 billion collapsed in just 8 days. Its biggest backers were Microsoft and the government of Qatar. Its product was magic. An artificial intelligence named Natasha that could build your app as easily as ordering a pizza.
Build your app, and we're going to make it as easy as ordering pizza.
You simply select the core product, the base, you then add in some toppings or some...
When it all came crashing down, the internet found its villain within days. The story went viral everywhere. The AI was fake. It was just 700 engineers in India, typing code by hand, pretending to be a machine. It was the perfect story. Everyone believed it. There was just one problem. It wasn't true. The real fraud was hiding somewhere else, somewhere much more boring, and it was far, far worse. Sachin Dougal did not have a normal job title. His business card said Chief Wizard. In 2016 in London, he founded a startup called Engineer.ai. The pitch was irresistible. Building software was slow, expensive, and painful. You needed developers, project managers, months of meetings. Dougal promised to replace all of that with one product. You would tell the system what app you wanted. The system would assemble it for you, like ordering a pizza. Pick your toppings, wait, done. And the engine behind the magic had a name, Natasha, an artificial intelligence that would, in the company's words, do the heavy lifting. Investors loved it. This was the era when every pitch deck needed the letters A and I, and Dougal had built his entire company around them. But here is the thing about magic tricks. Someone always looks behind the curtain.
Elastic human capacity, we call it elastic human capacity, is that we're able to use people in between projects, and so we can buy that at usually half.
Behind the curtain, Engineer.ai ran on something much older than artificial intelligence, an army of outsourced human developers, hundreds of them, many in India, assembling apps from reusable building blocks. Now, was that a scam? Not exactly. Using a human workforce with software tooling is a legitimate business. Every consulting firm on Earth does it. The question was never whether humans were involved. The question was what the company told people. And according to the people inside, what the company told people was a fantasy. In February 2019, the company's own chief business officer, Robert Holdheim, sued Engineer.ai for $5 million. His claim? He had raised concerns that the company was overstating what its technology could do, and got fired for it. His lawsuit described the operation with 2 words that would follow Dougal for years: smoke and mirrors. He alleged the company was telling investors the app building was largely done by AI, when in reality, engineers were doing the work the old-fashioned way. 6 months later, it got worse. The Wall Street Journal published an investigation with a brutal conclusion. Engineer.ai, the paper reported, relied on human engineers, not artificial intelligence, for most of its coding work. This should have been the end of the story. In any normal industry, it might have been. But this was AI, in the middle of the greatest funding frenzy tech had ever seen. And the company did something clever. It rebranded. Engineer.ai became Builder.ai. New name, same wizard. And instead of dying, it started growing faster than ever, because the market had decided that this category, AI that builds software, had to exist. Someone was going to win it. Investors could not afford to miss the winner. Fear of missing out is not a due diligence strategy. But in 2023, it was the closest thing the industry had. In May 2023, 6 months after ChatGPT set the world on fire, Builder.ai hit the jackpot twice in the same month. First, Microsoft, the most powerful company in AI, announced a strategic investment and integrated Builder's technology directly into Teams. Then came the Series D, $250 million, led by the Qatar Investment Authority. Total funding, over $450 million. Valuation, roughly $1.5 billion. The company that had been called Smoke and Mirrors 4 years earlier was now a unicorn, endorsed by Microsoft itself.
yet leave the human in the middle in that process. And then as we go forward, where Natasha establishes a voice, it's going to be key.
And to be fair, by now Natasha was real. This is the part everyone gets wrong later. Builder.ai had an actual AI team, real machine learning engineers, and after the LLM revolution, Natasha genuinely generated code. A small team, about 15 engineers, most of them in London, built a real product on top of large language models. The technology existed. The product existed. The customers existed. The revenue. That was another matter, because while the wizard was on stage, the numbers backstage were being manufactured. And in December 2024, the first number cracked. Builder.ai had told the world its 2024 revenue was around $220 million. The real number, when auditors finally got to it, was closer to 55 million. Not a rounding error, not aggressive accounting, a gap of $165 million. Roughly 75% of the company's reported sales gone. Bloomberg later reported the mechanism, an alleged round-tripping arrangement with an Indian media company called Verse, money going out as payments, coming back in as revenue, around $180 million, allegedly circling between the two companies to make both look bigger. In February 2025, Dougal stepped down as CEO. The board brought in a turnaround operator, Manpreet Ratia, to clean up. He never got the chance because one of Builder's lenders, Viola Credit, had seen enough. In May 2025, Viola reached into the company's accounts and seized $37 million, almost everything Builder had. The company was left with $5 million in the bank. 8 days later, Builder.ai filed for insolvency. The creditor list read like a who's who of the industry it had charmed. $85 million owed to Amazon, $30 million to Microsoft, the same Microsoft that had blessed the company 2 years earlier, $450 million raised, gone. And that is when the internet took over and got the whole story wrong. Days after the collapse, a post went viral. It claimed Builder.ai's secret was finally out. There was never any AI at all. Just 700 engineers in India, pretending to be a chatbot, typing answers by hand. The story exploded. News outlets around the world ran it as fact. It had everything: a fake AI, a billion-dollar lie, and a punchline you could retell at dinner. There was just one problem. Nobody making the claim had ever worked there. A respected engineering writer, Gergely Orosz, did what almost no one else bothered to do. He talked to the actual engineers, several of them on the record. Their answer was consistent. The AI was real. The code generation was real. The team behind Natasha's code engine was about 15 people, not 700. The hundreds of human developers? They were a separate, openly advertised outsourcing network. Clients knew humans were involved. It was on the website. Think about what that means. The most viral fact about this scandal, the one your friends probably still believe, is fiction. And the tragedy is that the truth didn't need embellishment. Builder.ai wasn't a fake product wrapped in real numbers. It was a real product wrapped in fake numbers. The fraud investigators care about isn't in the code. United States prosecutors have subpoenaed the company's former chief financial officer. A grand jury in Manhattan is examining how $220 million of revenue became 55. So why did everyone believe the wrong story? Because the AI was 700 guys in a room is a better story than a company misstated its revenue through related party transactions. One fits in a tweet. The other requires reading a balance sheet. But here is the lesson, and it applies to every AI company you will hear about this year. When the numbers are the fiction, the technology doesn't matter. Builder.ai had real engineers, a real product, real customers, and none of it mattered because the revenue was invented. The next billion-dollar AI collapse probably won't be a fake robot. It will be a spreadsheet. And almost nobody will look there because spreadsheets don't go viral. Sachin Dev Dougal still calls himself the chief wizard. And the greatest trick he ever pulled is that everyone is still talking about the wrong illusion.